Welcome back to the channel, all you decent people. Today's video, we're doing our first disc comparison. We're going to be talking about the two most beginner-friendly distance drivers in my personal opinion. We're going to be throwing them on the same lines out here at this 9-hole course, just so you can get an impression of how they actually fly and how they do out in the field. And I'm going to be giving you guys my opinions on these discs. So let's get right into it. So the discs that we're going to be comparing today are going to be the Innova Star Wraith. So in Star plastic, this one is the 12-time Ken Climo one, just what they had at the shop. The numbers on Star Wraiths are going to be 11, 5, -1, 3. So that fade at the end is supposed to be pretty hard. One of the reasons that people really talk about Wraiths is once they beat in, they fly very nicely. However, it does take a little while to beat them in. So this is my very beat-in Star Wraith, and it flies very differently to my fairly new Star Wraith. Just to compare, this one is about 3 months old. This one is about a year old and even lived underwater for about 3 weeks. So this one's well seasoned, has hit a lot of trees, skipped off a lot of parking lots. There is a huge difference between these two discs. The disc that we are going to be comparing today is the Clash Disc Steady Wild Honey. The numbers on this are 12, 5, -2, and 2. Now, just off the bat, when I'm talking about these two discs, this off the shelf flies a whole lot more like a beat-in Wraith than just buying a brand new Wraith, which is why I think you're gonna find that this is a much more beginner-friendly distance driver. So if you're looking to upgrade from fairway drivers or those control drivers in the 9-speed category and really break into faster speed discs, I think that the Clash Wild Honey is probably going to be a better disc for you to start with than buying an Innova Wraith. Now, I love Wraiths, but I really like this disc. So in terms of how these discs feel, the Wraith is an 11-speed, and the rim feels pretty comfortable in my hand, even though I do have slightly smaller hands. The plastic feels nice and grippy in that Star plastic. I really do like my Star Wraith. This is an 11-speed. The Honey is a 12-speed. And when I'm holding this disc and touching the rim, it feels absolutely identical to the Wraith. If you look at those rims though, I mean, they're pretty much the same. The Wild Honey might be a little bit more bladed, but the rim is almost identical. My beat-in Wraith is probably a little bit more domey than the Clash disc. You can kind of see that it has like almost, it's almost just flatter on top than my Wraith is, but not by much. So just holding these discs in the hand, they feel identical, even though this one is technically a 12-speed. Let's go put these things to the test, and I'm just gonna talk to you guys about my opinions on both of them. We are going to be throwing my newer Star Wraith a couple of times, just to show you what it's like. If you do buy a brand new Star Wraith, this is probably more what it's going to fly like. So again, this Wraith, 3 months old. This one, a year old, and has lived underwater and hit a lot of trees. All right, so we are out here at Two Rivers Church again. We're gonna be playing the alternate layout. Most of the holes are gonna be right around 400 feet, just over or under that. So perfect for testing out these discs. First hole, around 400 feet. It's gonna be all the way past the volleyball court. This is really just a placement shot. I'm gonna throw all 3 of these discs as flat as I can to try and give you a consistent angle, straight out into the field for placement. First up is gonna be that beat-in Star Wraith. Just gonna try and throw it as flat as I can. Might have had a little bit of Annie on it. Next up is going to be that Clash Wild Honey. Again, I'm gonna try and throw this thing as flat as I can. Woo, smashed. All right, and just for comparison, this is a newer Star Wraith. So there are some inconsistencies with Innova, or so I've heard. This is only the second duplicate disc I've ever bought, but this thing is super beefy. Probably even beefier than my original one when I bought it. So just keep that in mind, that off the shelf, this thing is probably going to be super beefy, but I'll just show you. Throw it nice and flat. Yep, look at that thing hook up. So right off the bat, one of the biggest differences between my beat-in Wraith and that Clash Wild Honey is that my beat-in Wraith, if I do get it to turn over, it doesn't want to fight out of it. Not nearly as much. Whereas out of the box, I feel like that Wild Honey is very true to its flight numbers. You're gonna get some turn, and then you're gonna get equal amounts of fade, so you end up getting a pretty nice straight flight that's very workable. Whereas that Wraith, sometimes it just doesn't come back. Honey got a little more distance than the Wraith. I'm gonna try and forehand all the way out to that basket. Woo, got some tree love. Every bit of that distance was there though. We'll see how I do today, but also I think the Wild Honey has way more glide than my Wraith does. It just wants to stay in the air longer. It consistently goes 20 to 30 feet further than my Wraith. Almost went OB with the Wraith. We're gonna forehand this one too. Ooh. It's pretty hard to do approach shots with distance drivers, but it's kind of fun. I'm having a good time. Terrible. It counts for both. So hole 2 is going to be to the right of that furthest tree. You do have to worry about the volleyball court. It's just around 300 feet. We're going to test the forehand capabilities of both of these discs. Star Wraith is up first. That'll be fine. Here's that Honey. Woo. Identical. And just to show you what this Star Wraith does, I'm going to try and flex this one a little bit more, show you that it will come out of it. Yep, every time. Yeah, if I tried to forehand at that angle with my beat-in Wraith, it would have been like over the trees, very deep in those woods. It just doesn't have any fight left in it. Whereas that steady Wild Honey, that's what it is, it's steady. The fade is consistent. You can get it turned over, but it does fight out of it. And once again, I can't say that for the Wraith. Sometimes it just doesn't come out of it. It won't. So even though those were both kind of poor forehand shots in my opinion, they didn't get as much distance. I didn't swing them as wide as I should have. I mean, look at this. The Wraith beat it by maybe like 6 inches. It's like throwing the same disc. All right, this hole's around 450-ish feet. You do have to make it over the volleyball net. So for that reason, I really do like to throw the backhand kind of turnover flex line, just to try and get as much distance as I possibly can. The goal is to land just before the parking lot to have a better upshot. We're gonna go with this Star Wraith. The wind did just pick up a bit, so it's gonna make this turnover a little bit harder. Let's see if we can't get this thing to turn over and hold. It might come out of it with this wind. We'll see. Yes, it did. Threw it just high enough. If that had been any lower though, it was not coming out of that. I threw that thing pretty high. So let's see how the Wild Honey holds. This should fade out a lot quicker than that did. So I think maybe around the same spot. We'll see. It's also really hard to throw the same line, so I'm gonna try for you guys. Definitely more fade. Threw both of those a little higher than I would have liked to, but I think we're sitting around the same spot. You can see there's the Honey and there's the Wraith. Again, almost the same amount of distance. You can tell that that Honey faded out just a little bit quicker, but honestly the Honey's in a better position. So we'll start with the Wraith though. You guys probably can't see the basket. It's underneath those cherry blossoms that are right out there. I'm gonna try and get a skip off of the parking lot with this Wraith. Like I drew it up that way. It's parked. All right, I really don't want my Honey to skip off the parking lot just because these parking lots do destroy your discs, and I'd like to keep this in better shape than my Wraith. So here's to hoping, right? I'm just gonna try and crash into the top of those cherry trees. They might not be cherry trees, I don't know. Whatever they are, they're cool. Hey, it's like I drew that up too. I thought that had a chance. I really did. If you're anything like me and you are wanting to upgrade to a distance driver, probably like within the first month you've been playing, even though we shouldn't be doing that. But hey, I get it. Distance drivers are fun, they're cool, and if you're gonna pick one up, the Wraith is a great option. I still think that right off the shelf, that Wild Honey is just gonna be much more workable for you. Both are gonna teach you valuable lessons, but one of the reasons people really like Wraiths is they like the beat-in Wraith, how it flies. There's so many different forums and people talking about, okay, what disc flies like a beat-in Wraith? There's the Grace, people say the Zenith flies like a beat-in Wraith. There's a couple different ones out there, but so far, out of the ones I've gotten my hand on, that Wild Honey is pretty good. Let's see if we can make a putt with the driver. Yes, sir. All right, guys, next hole's 300 feet, dead straight. You do have a pretty open field, so you can try a nice Hyzer play. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try and Hyzer flip both of these. I'm gonna throw them on a whole bunch of Hyzer, see which one flips up more. Star Wraith is up first. Woo. That went a bit deep. All right, Wild Honey. That Wraith almost flipped up to flat. It always feels good when I can do that. We'll see if we can't get this thing to flip up to flat. Yep. And now, just for fun, I'm gonna show you that newer Star Wraith, just to show you how beefy it is. Yeah. Didn't have a chance. No way I can Hyzer flip that thing. Hyzer bombs all day. That's it. Which, one of the reasons I still keep that newer Wraith in my bag is because it is that reliable. If I've got a water carry or I've got OB that's on the left or the right side, I can really trust that disc to come back. Overstable discs aren't bad by any means. They teach you a lot and they can help you play safe and smart golf. So I do think that overstable discs are extremely valuable. However, we're talking about a distance driver that's more beginner friendly. One of my favorite discs, if you've been following this channel, is the Latitude 64 River. The Clash Wild Honey, it's just a distance driver version of that disc. Interestingly enough, the Honey, probably because it's newer and it is a little harder to flip, it did flip up more though. It did not go as far as the Wraith, so I don't know. Maybe Wraiths are better. See if we can't drain this putt. Ooh, nope. Ooh, and this Wraith went a little bit deep, but almost pin high. Nope. So I think that hole is a really good example of why my Star Wraith still is in my bag. I am still learning the Wild Honey, and that beat-in Wraith, it does just want to go. When it hits the line, those things are money. But the caveat is, it does take a year. It took me a year to get that disc to that point, and I play at least 3 or 4 times a week. Whereas the Wild Honey right out of the box, it's pretty good, y'all. Next hole's just under 400 feet. It's all the way by that brick building out there. Maybe with a backhand flex line, I could get a lot more distance, but I'm really afraid of this building that's here off to the right, and I need both of these discs for a tournament I got coming up. So we're gonna hammer both of these really flat again, see how they do. Star Wraith. Pretty good. A little bit more left than I want, but we're gonna do this Wild Honey. Maybe just aim a little bit more to the right, because this should have a little more fade than that Wraith. A little bit nose up, but same distance, just more left. There's no doubt in my mind that if I'd kept the nose angle the same on that Wild Honey as I did the Wraith, that Honey definitely would have gone farther. Just threw it a little bit too nose up. All right, basket tucked over kind of between that white shed and the brick building. Try some more approach shots with distance drivers. Hooray. Whew. Here's that Wraith. See if we can't get this a little closer to the basket. Oh yeah. Parked. That should not have gone in the basket. It just shouldn't have. All right, we're going to that basket that's past the volleyball court, tucked between those two trees again. It's just over 300 feet, and this is a par 3, so this one's just like a little bit tough. Like the birdie's really, really hard. I think you have to do a backhand flex line in order to get there, some big turnover, but we've got a headwind, and so I'm gonna forehand into the headwind with both of these because why not? Star Wraith. Woo. That's one of the better forehands I've thrown on this hole. All right, Wild Honey. Yep, there's that turn and the reliable fade. That went further left than I would have liked for it to have been, but like you could see it almost looked like it was just gonna burn over completely, and it has just enough stability that it came out of it, and that gave me some really good forehand distance, at least for me. Yeah, the Wraith is every bit of 300 feet into a headwind, and you can see I'm at least 30, maybe 40 feet further ahead with the Wild Honey. Just gnarly discs. Both very good discs. Ooh, drop. See if the Honey will do it. Woo! Little skip. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Here we go. Don't listen to me. I don't know why I say the things that I say. All right, so next basket, it's just over 500 feet. It's all the way by those cherry blossoms, if you can see them, like the furthest ones by that mobile building out there. The safe play is going to be a forehand. The distance play, flex line. All right, heads we forehand, tails we flex. Heads, forehand it is. We're gonna go with that Wraith first. I'm gonna try and absolutely smush it. Smushed. That'll work. Wild Honey. Not as smushed. Close. Not as smushed. Man, I really got a hold of that Wraith. I could feel it out of my hand. The Honey wasn't as good, but here's the Honey. Maybe 15 feet in front of it is the Wraith. So I'm okay with that result. There's a steep slope on the back side of the basket and in front of it. So the forehand's pretty risky if I went for it. It could skip down the hill. So I think what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and spike Hyzer both of these, just to kind of see which one might push more than the other in this wind. There's like maybe a little bit of a helping right to left. So let's see. Spiking the Honey. Oh, that came out way too early. Yeah, maybe the spike Hyzer was a bad play, but we have to do it. So here's that Wraith. That's much better. Yeah, that's almost parked. I'm very curious what the Honey would have done if I hadn't had that early release. I did. I just slipped right out of my hands. Looks like in terms of distance it was about the same. So it's the hard thing about filming content like this. I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's really hard to throw the same angles over and over again, and the truth is they're never going to be exactly identical, right? Like, we have to take into account that I am a human, you are a human. The only people that can throw with cyborg precision are Macbeth and definitely Simon. I am not those people. Chip, chip. Look at these nice, pretty trees. Pretty good stuff. This next hole is pretty fun, guys. You've got this nice, like 6 foot tall hill right here, which kind of messes with your brain. But for whatever reason, sometimes it makes me throw at such an angle that I just really get a hold of these discs. I actually filmed this video yesterday and it was too windy, so I had to scrap all the footage. But I got a hold of this Wild Honey and threw it further than any disc I've ever thrown on this hole. I made it halfway into like the second tier of the next parking lot, which you guys will see in a minute. Basket is tucked behind that white building on the far side of the parking lot to the right. So ideally you want to flex something just a little bit and end up almost dead center in the parking lot. I'm going with the Wraith first. Woo. That thing was also really smushed. All right, here's that honey. I think the only difference there is that I felt the honey coming out of my hand definitely on more and Hyzer, which is okay because it does have more stability than that Wraith does as a brand new disc. All right, so here's the verdict. Honey, middle of the first parking lot, right there. Where's my Wraith? Honestly, is probably about 20 feet further ahead, but like as the crow flies to the basket, much further, probably like 30-40 feet. But yesterday, my wild honey, it did end up in the middle of the parking lot over there. So take it with a grain of salt. Discs are discs. We throw them differently every time. All right, here's hoping I can miss the parking lot. My poor baby's getting all scratched up. Oh yeah, roll back. That'll work. So the basket, you guys can't see it, but it is between those two big trees. There's that gap between the bushes. If you can hit that, normally you can hit chains. I think I'm a little too close for that angle, but let's see if we can't get a good skit. This one can hit the road, I don't care. Do it. Oh, we were this close. I really do love this hole. You can see how if you get a flare like right here on the parking lot, it sets you up perfectly to just skip into the basket, which I've done a couple of times, but not today. All right guys, last hole out here, and this one's pretty hard. It is a big dog leg over that building that's right there. So the first shot, you really are just playing for position. You want to at least get to the sidewalk on the left-hand side or just beat it. Someone with a bigger arm than me, you could throw a turnover or a forehand over that breezeway. Good for you, that would be ideal. I can't do that. So right now, all we're doing is playing for position. I'm just trying to get over the sidewalk on that left-hand side. We're gonna do that with a little bit of a backhand flex. Star Wraith, send things well. There is a headwind, go figure. All right, that definitely got over the sidewalk. Wild honey into that same headwind. Oh no, oh no. Oh gosh. Oh, that hurt me to watch. I'll take what we can get. That single-handedly is the most abuse I've ever done to a disc. I really feel like I should rethrow just for the purpose of this video, but I like for you guys to see how I actually play. And so far, I've been pretty consistent today. Dang, this corner's gnarly. You got all this gravel, all these different angles. You got that pipe. I think we even hit the old hangout electrical box. Oh gosh, my poor baby. It is what it is. See, now it's hard because I got to go over the building, and I really don't want this thing to hook up and get stuck on the roof, but we'll see. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of relief off this box. Here's that honey. Right into the tree. Oh yeah. We can live with that. Whenever I bring people out here to play this layout, I always tell them on this hole that the best place you can end up with a noodle arm is right in front of these trees. And there we are. Perfect spot. It's a weird distance. Let's see if we can't get this right. Oh, 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 deep. It's gonna take some kind of a miracle to get this honey to go in from this distance. Go in. Oop, a little bit deep. Oh, this is no fun. Does that take back a stroke? All right, guys, and that about does it for this video. I hope this was able to show you guys some of the flight characteristics of both of these discs. These are both excellent, excellent discs that a lot of people are throwing and a lot of people are enjoying. My main takeaway that I want you guys to have from this video is to get to the beat-in Wraith stage, you might have to throw it a lot. It might take at least 7-8 months of playing a lot. And if you're only playing on the weekends, it could take well over a year to get one of these to this point. Maybe you can pick one up, use it at a shop that'll fly similarly to this, but it does take a long time to beat these things in. Whereas this Wild Honey, the plastic feels great. I don't think the numbers are completely accurate. 12 speed doesn't feel right to me. It just feels more like an 11 speed. It feels pretty manageable to me. That -2.2, I think is completely true. So right off the shelf, right out of the box, this disc I think is going to be much more beginner friendly and much more workable. Again, they're both really, really good discs, guys. So I'm keeping this in my bag, and I'm keeping my newer Wraith in my bag. But this has found a special place in my bag, and it started to become my go-to. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these discs. Some of you probably do have beat-in Wraiths. Some of you probably do throw the Clash Wild Honey. I want to know what you think about each of them. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. I'd love to just talk about these discs with you guys and hear what you think about them. So remember to like this content and subscribe, guys. And until next time, have fun, get better, and stay decent.